Ash ik. Ash ik. Always having muddy or dirty face. That's what it means.
George came to Ucluelet in 1894. He bought 236 acres, which extend from one of the terrace beach right down to what's called Fraser Lane. And for 236 acres at the time, he paid $236. The original south gate to the garden was located between the two schools, Ucluelet Elementary and Ucluelet Secondary. The town itself was very much what I call a stump ranch. And as people came and gradually changed it, it was still considered to be a fairly isolated area. Despite the fact that George was a lifelong bachelor, he enjoyed quite a social life here. He was involved in making sure there was a school here. He donated land for it, for students of Ucluelet. And he also liked to play a violin, which he had, and he played it at various gatherings. Besides rhododendrons, one of the things that George left behind was a pond that he created, and it's behind a house on Helen Road in Ucluelet. It's still there, it still holds water. He became what's called a hybridizer, and what he was doing was not only was he growing rhododendrons, he was taking different rhododendrons and combining them to make new rhododendrons, and so he made several of them. I'm trying to save some of George Fraser's rhododendrons, and just 3 of them here. This is the Fraser eye, and this is one of the ones that brought him to the attention of people. And he actually sent out some seeds that he developed, and he sent them out to Pennsylvania to his friend Joe Gable. And that was the one that became known as Mrs. Jamie Fraser. Another one that he became known for was John Blair, named after his boss at Beacon Hill Park when they were laying out the park. And it's a white one, and it looks like an azalea. Many people would call it an azalea, and it has actually a fragrance, which is not unknown amongst rhododendrons, but rather rare. George, being a good Scotsman, of course, was involved with heathers, particularly Kaluna heathers, and so he convinced the commander of the Air Force Base near Tofino to drop heather seeds everywhere. Nowadays, I guess he'd be called an eco-terrorist, but in those days, people did things like that. Despite his isolation, George was well known amongst other horticulturalists. He was highly respected, and he was awarded a medal by the Vancouver Island Horticultural Society in 1936. And even more importantly, he was awarded a posthumous gold medal for pioneers from the American Rhododendron Society. In the late 1990s, Bill Dale and 2 of his friends began a project studying Vancouver Island rhododendron hybridizers. And as Bill later told me, he said, "We started with George Fraser and never moved on." Bill became an advocate to protect the legacy of George Fraser. And he came to Ucluelet and persuaded the Ucluelet Lions Club, led by Dave Godfrey, to plant rhododendrons along the highway and a memorial garden between the 2 schools.